Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Adventures in Business. How are we today, Mandy?
Hi, Heidi ho. Happy Monday. Amani, it's the
Happy
end.
Monday.
It's the end. It's the end of January.
Yes, time is flying by very quickly. January is sped by.
It's sped
I'm
by.
actually on location at a gig in Palm Springs, so we're multitasking today.
We are. I
How?
just have to tell everybody though, Amani is petrified his internet is gonna go out. So just just so if Amani freezes in like a crazy T-Rex position or something, just do us a favor. Screenshot it and post it on social media. If you could, that'd be awesome. That'd be super awesome.
Yes, yes. What we always talk about the weekend. Have you read
Yeah.
anything interesting recently? I want to ask you about books or anything you read recently that's been pretty interesting.
I have a bunch of books that are about to come to me, and I'm making space for them. So, Kara Swisher's Burn book is coming to
Mm,
me in February. Do you know who Kara Swisher is?
I have, yes.
Right?
Hmm.
Tech journalist. And then one of our old guests who's hilarious, Erin Deal's book is on her way here too, and that's called I See You. And that's supposed to be really awesome. A great leadership book, and it's all in teal, and love that color. But no, lately I've been reading a lot of magazines. I'm just catching up on magazines, which I love. And then I have a daily affirmation. It's an Andy Bravo book about women. It's hilarious. Andy Cohen
Okay.
book, and from Bravo, and so that's good. So 365 Days of Powerful Ladies. So I read that in the morning sometimes as my morning meditation. What about you,
All
Amani? What
right.
are you reading right now?
So, what was the book that I sent you? I forget the title. It's slipping me about like prospecting, and the one you kind of designed. So, that was some inspiration for your book about the what's it like the aggressive prospecting.
I don't remember.
Ah,
I remember you sending me was it Daniel Pink's book? No, you sent me Daniel
no,
Pink's
no.
book.
It was another book where it's all about how people avoid prospecting, but you can't get around it, and you have to keep prospecting or whatever, like sales. I'll look it up in
Mhm.
a minute and tell you.
Yeah.
So that's one I'm reading, but also for fiction, it's called The Sun, and it takes place over different eras in the United States, like back to the 1850s, 1910s, then we're up to like the 1945, and the story goes back and forth. So I've been reading
Ooh,
that. It's a really long book. So I was reading that like on the plane last night and stuff. So The Sun, that's the name of that book I'm reading.
that is interesting. You like those decade type books. That's your jam. Cuz your
I
book
love all types, but
I
yeah.
know, but, like, that reminds me of your book that you're writing about
Oh,
the decades of music, like, it just kind of reminds me of that. Feels like you're drawn to that in a way, no?
yeah. Yeah. Ironically, one stage of the editing for that book was completed last night. So I'm gonna have to go and read and
Oh,
we'll see kind
wow.
of what happens next. I think next is fact checking, and then we can get on to design after that.
Amani, you're so close. When are you thinking? When are you thinking we're gonna have this book in our hot
It
little hands?
de depends on how long fact checking takes. If it takes an extended period of time, it could be like late second quarter, early third quarter. It depends. So I would say if now we're January 30th, hopefully by like June, July, maybe August at the latest, but we'll see. Maybe sooner. So we'll see.
So exciting. So exciting. Well, so
Yes.
speaking of music though, before we introduce our guest, I have to tell you, have you watched Taylor Swift's Eras tour yet? Have you watched it on Okay.
Not
So
yet.
Scoot and I rented my husband and I rented it over the weekend. We had a little concert in our house. So it was it's 3 hours long, watched an hour of it, but we were like two teenage girls standing at the TV watching watching a live concert, and we were both like, "Oh, we're so proud of her." Like she has such great showmanship. The stages were beautiful, the costumes were beautiful, the way she presents herself and her endurance and her songs, it was awesome. I can't wait to watch the other 2 hours, but, Eras tour, and we just kept saying we should have gone. We didn't go, but we should have gone, and now I'm regretting not going. So I'll always go to a future Tay Tay concert for sure. But it was fun to
All
watch. So
right.
if you haven't watched it, watch it.
Add it to my list. T Swizzle. Tell
Yeah.
us about our guest. Who we have the the fortunate circumstances of speaking to today?
We have an awesome human being today who is an excellent, excellent question asker. So we've got to get ready. I know we're the interviewers, but for some reason, I feel like things may get turned around, which is fine. I'm open to it. But we have Scott Ballard, and he's been seen on CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC. He's the best business coach that your money can buy. He loves riding bikes and he loves asking deep, hard questions. And whenever you interact with him, he brings out the best in you. So let's bring Scott Ballard to the stage.
Yes, there you are, Scott. Unfortunately, we don't have our applause today, but we'll give you a round of applause
We'll
right
give real
there.
pauses, real pauses.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah.
it is great to be here. Excited to have this conversation and, just see where this will go. As Mandy said, I love a good question, and a good question leads to a great conversation, which leads to insight, which is what this is all about today. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mandy, why don't you know? Well, here, I'll ask a question because I think Mandy once described you to me as someone who is like a confidence coach. And
Yeah.
so I want to ask you, in terms of confidence,
Mm,
in your personal and professional life, if your confidence has taken a hit, how do
mm.
you and how can we rebuild that confidence to get back to where we were and then increase it from there?
Yeah, great question. Love that. So, confidence, when it's broken or damaged or been hurt, really gets built not in the confidence arena, but in baby steps of courage. So, we have this little courage muscle, and that's where we would start. We would start with taking those steps of courage, and courage actually creates confidence. So that's where we would start with that, and then think back, and Mandy and have spoken about this. Think back to times when you had good courage, and borrow that from the past, bring it to this situation, and slowly, with little steps of courage, build your confidence back up. But confidence is actually built in the muscle of courage, and that's where we help people develop that, restore that, or take it to a new height. Do something that you believed was impossible or didn't have the confidence to do before. But if we work that courage out enough, I'm a biker, and my coach says you've got to do more hills. He looks at the report and he's like, to do what I'm doing. Courage is really the hills that lead to confidence, which leads to
Mm.
what you really want to be, which is the best version of you is found in that. So great question. Great question.
Yeah. And then my follow would be your definition of courage is did you just tell us what your definition of courage is, or would you add anything else to it?
Yeah, yeah. So courage is doing something when we're afraid or when we lack the belief that we can do it, or first time, or in a new situation. I've traveled to 63 countries, so courage for me is sitting down in Uganda and eating something that I have no idea what it is, and
Mhm.
it doesn't look great, but it's to have the courage so I can honor the people I'm there with, respect the culture, and so I eat that. That takes courage. Now, it didn't give me confidence because it actually didn't taste great, and actually I became a little sick from it afterwards, but I'd have the courage to do that. And so we've got to put ourselves in those situations where we can practice that. And travel, as Mandy knows, I mean, she's gone all the time, but travel is a great way to build courage, which builds real confidence that you can call on. Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
All right.
I have a question about people that are feeling stuck
Mm.
because it's January, right? And with the turn
Yeah.
of the new year, people start
Mm.
evaluating their plot on the planet. Who are they? Who do they want to be? Where do they want to go? What are they not doing? That kind of thing. So, for those that are listening or that are watching right now that are feeling stuck, what
Mm.
is one question that you recommend they ask themselves that
Mhm.
will open up that dialogue with themselves? just a little
Mhm.
mini door
Mhm.
ajar, a question they can
Mhm.
ask themselves that will help them start thinking about how to get unstuck.
Yeah, great question. I actually have named this. It's called stuckedness. It's I made up a word because I have so many people that come to me that are in that situation. So as I was telling you guys earlier, January is the busiest we've ever been in 18 years in our coaching practice. And 80% of them, Mandy, have come to us in some form of stuckedness.
Mm.
So I just, first of all, to name it really helps. Second of all, most people are stuck because they're trying to be somebody or something that is not truly who they are. Okay. So that's where we get stuck. We have read a book, we've gone to a seminar, we've hired a guru, we've patterned somebody on social media, we've patterned ourselves after them because we want the result. But the problem is I'm not them and they are not me. Like I'm not being true to myself, that causes us to be stuck when we're trying to be somebody we're not. And so the question is, who am I and what do I really value and what is really important to me? And then build yourself out of that. Like, what does that truly mean to me? And you see it. I mean, social media is so powerful that if we're not careful, it will actually take us to be somebody we're not. And that's why we feel so stuck. We have a whole bunch of people that are feeling this more and more every year as we go on. So stuckness is because we're trying to be something that really isn't the heart of what we value and what we want to be. So for example, because I know Mandy, like one of her true values is joy and fun. So if she's trying to be somebody that's serious 724, Mandy would be so miserable beyond stuckedness. She would just be so part of that work with her was like, okay, what brings you joy and fun? Like, what is it that's going to get you to be the best version of yourself? But you have to ask that question internally, and then you have to tell the truth to the mirror. This is what it really is. And you can't, everybody wants to have an opinion of who I should be, but the most important opinion is my own, and I know myself what that is and what I have to do to get there. So you really kind of have to block out the outside noise because everybody's saying you got to be this, you got to do that, you got to go here, you got to write the third book, you got, all these things. But is that really my truest identity? Who I really want to be? Does that represent success for me? Success for me is these pair of jeans I've had for 20 years that were like made for me. And my wife keeps wanting to throw them away and throw them away. And I'm like, and I said, Mandy knows my wife, Orlean. I was like, no, those are my favorite. Like those jeans were made for me. Like that's how you want to feel about your life, about your business, your work, your career, your personal life. And so, but it takes honest reflection and it's hard because we've believed a lot of other things that people said, you've got to be this, you got to do that. And it leads us to feeling stuck. And we get paralyzed, right? In our thinking. Anyway,
Yeah,
great
like it's
question.
a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas instead of what I am, right? Like what you
Yes.
are versus what other people think you should be or what you think you should be kind of thing. Okay, I want to go the way back machine really quick because you're a
Okay. Can,
great
can, can I,
storyteller. Oh,
Mandy,
yes.
can I just say one other thing about that?
Yes,
And
heck yes.
the people that are the closest to us, and this happens time after time, that love us and care for us, oftentimes are the ones that are keeping us from being unstuck because they kept us when we were 18 or when we graduated from college or we had our first career job. And so you always have to be this and do that. That's the hardest ones because then we have to tell them, okay, that's not for me. Like that's not who I am. And so in some loving kind way, you have to have those hard conversations. So it isn't
Mhm.
just the world out there or the corporation or whatever, but oftentimes the person that has the most influence is trying to make me believe or to that I have to be something that really isn't who I am, right? And I feel stuck. And January is like the month of stuckedness. Like I tell everybody, like it's crazy because we all stop and go, is this really the best for me? Am I really enjoying having fun? Is this fitting me like my 20-year-old jeans? Like that, like when I get on a plane, I put those jeans on and I'm like, I can be asleep in 5 minutes. Like because it's so me. Like, what is that in your business? What is that in your work? What is that in your personal life? What is that for your health? Like but it's truth telling at its highest level, because it's you telling the truth to yourself or not. And when we lie, we're stuck. Instantly, you're stuck when you lie.
You know, we could get to the Wayback Machine in a second, but I like what you just said. It reminds me of something. And Amani, I'm curious if he just brought something up for you, is like you're talking about those comfortable pair of jeans, but really we're talking about comfort, and how sometimes when you decide that you don't want to be stuck anymore and you're ready to go, it's very uncomfortable for people around you because they're very happy with you being in a certain position. Or if it's in a workplace, they're very happy with you basically doing their job. Or, like I know a lot of entrepreneurs that work for corporations. And Amani and I used to work for corporations where if either one of us made a move, it was a ripple down effect to other people around you. And it's very uncomfortable for them. So as soon as we decide to be unstuck, something becomes uncomfortable for other people. So Scott, how do you, and Amani, I don't know if you've experienced that in your working world too. Like how do you, or even your personal life, like how do you, Scott, address that? Like how do you address or have those conversations with people, or just say, forget it. I don't care if you're uncomfortable. Like I've got to, this is better for me. Like, or when you sense that other people being uncomfortable with you, being your truest self.
Yeah, to be your true self has a price of admission, of uncomfortability, of transition, of almost having a different expectation from the people that are putting those things on you. And the best way to deal with it, the best way is just be upfront, going, okay, this is where I'm going. It's going to be uncomfortable, and before they even start to experience or be aware of it. Let them know this is part of that process. It's the ticket I pay to have and to be the person that to me is the truth, right? And when we are in that seat, when I became a coach, I was coaching for 2 years, and then my dear wife said to me, "That's called coaching, and people actually that's the business." Because I was so naturally doing what I was supposed to be doing, I didn't even recognize it, right? And so but the best thing you can do is proactively say, okay, I've made a decision. I'm going to be the best version of myself, and in making that decision, that's going to affect you. Like particularly people in your family or really close friends, it's hard. And it's that analogy, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's like the frog trying to get out of the boiling pot. Like people are not really comfortable with us being our best version, right? And the sooner you can say that and be honest with that, it actually gives you a sense of peace, but it also releases them, and they can see, oh, that's actually what I'm doing, is I'm trying to hold you back because I don't want to pay the price to change. So you have to find a new group of people that can support you. Like I'm that for a lot of people. Like I am that person that goes, oh no, this change is really good. It's painful and you're going to have to go through this transition, but the uncomfortable is where you really want to go. The dream that you have about yourself, what you can be, what you can do, this is part of that price. And I am for you. I believe in you. I will encourage you. I am relentless in that because I know that is going to take you to a spot where you wake up in the morning and you go, wow, I'm so looking forward to today. It's going to be joy. It's going to be fun because I'm actually being and doing the best version of myself. And that's epic. Like that's success at the highest level, right? And that's not work. That's your whole life. I'm talking about your whole life. That can be relational. Yeah. That can be your health. That can be all those things.
Yeah. So to follow up on that, also gotta say what's up to Mai. Mai is watching us over on Facebook. So good to see you, Mai. Thank you for tuning in.
Hi, Mai.
You gonna say something? Okay, yeah. Scott, why do you feel that people avoid the uncomfortable things they should do so frequently?
Mm.
Hmm. Well, yeah, thank you. Well, your questions are great today. So number one, we're not honest about how much fear we have about change. So telling the truth about being afraid is really what you're talking about there. So the fear, I'm willing to accept fear over this fun or joy or whatever it is, this better life. To me, that I valued fear more than I have the reward or the success or the achieving the goal, right? And the reason I have done that, I have not done that so much consciously, but subconsciously, I have never told the truth that I'm afraid of writing my first book or giving a speech in front of 10,000 people for the first time or whatever the first thing is. And because I haven't told the truth, then it's not out there and it's bigger in my mind than the good thing that would be if I would be willing to go through that fear, that change, and put the procrastination behind me, right? So not dealing with fear, not talking about it, not bringing it out, not sharing it is what holds us back, because in our head we amplify fear a million times. So think of something you've been afraid to do, you didn't do it, you didn't do it, you didn't do it, and how bigger it got, and then you finally did it, you actually overcame that, and then you go, oh, I didn't die.
Mm.
I did not like because in your mind you're dying doing that, and then you do it and you go, "Oh, I didn't die. In fact, it was okay. In fact, if I do this, this, and this, next time I do that, it's going to be better." And now I have the hope, and now I can move forward, right? But not speaking about your fear. Procrastination is just fear unnamed.
Mm.
Like that's the literal truth of procrastination. It's fear unnamed. That's what you're facing. And the other thing about procrastinating is procrastination we give unlimited time to, but if we replace that with doing some taking some action, and we put the clock on and we take the time down and say, in the next hour I'm going to write the 7 titles of my book, of each chapter, I can move forward in that process of going. Yeah. So we don't do what we should do, what we really want to do, because we believe fear, the uncertainty, the doubt, the bad outcome more than we believe that we deserve to succeed, to achieve a goal, to get better, to whatever it may be. Yeah.
And to continue, and then I'll turn it back over to Mandy. Where does the concept of self-worth fit
Mhm.
into fear, procrastination, everything we just discussed?
Mm. So the concept of a self-worth and building self-worth really becomes by facing your fears. Like, you grow in your self-worth, your self-image, your identity, who you are, by doing those things. But remember, you do them with the little courage muscle. I've seen more people go backwards than forwards when they tried to eat the whole elephant at one time,
Mm.
meaning they'd never spoken to anybody, and then they're going to get on the stage and talk to 10,000 people. No, talk to one person. So that's how you build that. And it's in baby steps to do that. But your self-image, your how you truly feel about yourself, is probably the greatest indicator of where you're going to be in the future, right? So so it is telling you what your future is by how, when you look in the mirror, what do you say? What are the first words that come to your mind? Are they fear based, or are they based in the can do attitude? What are those things? So that's how you wrestle with that. That's how that all plays together from that standpoint. Very difficult, Amani, very difficult to do on your own. Hence the idea of people like me that ask the question, and I had a CEO tell me this other day. I asked the question that nobody in his career of 40 years had ever asked him in front of his board of directors. And it was the one question that was holding the company back from doing this huge thing. And I just asked him, I just said, well, why hasn't anybody asked this question? And the room went silent. He turned kind of beet red, and he was like, oh my God, we're so stuck in fear that we can't even tell the truth that that's the question that we have to answer. Sitting on a corporate jet, which was very interesting, and facing that.
Interesting.
But that's me being the best version of myself for that person, and not caring about what other people think about me or judge me or whatever, because I am being the true sense of who I am to create the most value in that situation. And I only asked one question the whole day. That was it. That's all that needed to be done. And then I want to go home.
You get to go home. Yeah, you get to
go home. Yeah, right. I'm not like that was it. Yeah.
Yes. Say hello to Heather Cox is that, and then Toss. Thank you for being here with
hey. I don't know if I'm in.
Are you good?
So I have.
Yeah.
So I think you're good. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, good. So I want to go back to the 90s with you, Scott. I want to get time traveling with you since we're talking about jets, and go back to the 90s and the 90s to the mid 2000s, when you are a partner in an insurance firm. You're doing the work there, you're scaling your business there, and then you sell your business. Can you just give a little Reader's Digest version of
Sure.
what that looks like? Because I think a lot of people are scared to make a move. They're scared to scale. They're scared to leave an industry they're comfortable with. So can you just story about that moment in time?
Yeah. So got into the insurance business just not in design. It was people saying to me over and over, that is something that I could do. Got into it, went to work for a company because I didn't know anything. 3 months into it, every client I went and saw, they said, this is the worst insurance company, the worst policy. We hate it, and we would do something with you, but you got to go get a right product. So we went and got a contract with an insurance company on the East Coast, started the business, knew nothing about it. And for 3 years, we didn't make a penny. So literally 3 years, no money, no whatever, really struggled, really couldn't figure it out. And 3 years into it, I had this idea that really hadn't been done in that industry. I borrowed it from another industry, and it was about how to train and recruit and to motivate salespeople. So it was insurance agents, and so we figured that out. And from our kitchen table with $100, over the next 5 years, we were able to scale to 42 states, 4,000 agents, and become the third largest seller of that product in that industry in the US. So what scaling really is, Mandy, thank you for this question. What I really learned is it has to be something that replicate in any market, in any situation, with any person, right? And so I didn't know it at the time. That's what it was called. All I knew was that I figured out with one agent how to recruit them, hire them, train them, and then support them in order for them to be successful. And then we built a whole pattern of that across the country, and started winning all kinds of awards and and had 36,000 customers in a base across the country. And so, being an entrepreneur is somebody that takes something of a lower value. So the insurance industry is a very structured, very boring industry in a lot of ways. And what I did was, because I'm an entrepreneur, because I'm dyslexic, because I look at things differently, I looked at another industry and I said, why can't we put that into this insurance industry, into this model, and replicate it there? The teaching, the training, the recruiting, the incentive of people. And so I borrowed it. We tweaked it a little bit. It took a couple of years. But once that hit, we became like a rocket ship. And we literally had competitors coming to us going, I don't know how you're doing this. I don't like this. We had the insurance companies come to us and going, we're just out here because we want to make sure you're not doing something illegal, because we've never seen somebody grow like you grew. And so we did that for 21 years. And the last 3 or 4 years, we knew that our product was going to be part of the national healthcare, when the federal government was taking that over. So I'd already seen the legislation. They were actually going to take us out of the loop. So we found a large life insurance company on the East Coast, and we exited with that. And there I was, exited. It was a very, very profitable thing. And I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a people person. What do I do now? And so we traveled to 63 countries, my wife, myself, and we did a lot of work just serving people, trying to do things that would make a difference. And I started getting calls from people saying, hey, can you help me in my company, in my business, with my people? And for a couple of years, I just did it as a free thing. And then my dear wife of 46 years, she said, actually, honey, this is a business, and like people pay people to do this. And so embarrassingly, I got into it that way. But I really learned so much because I trained thousands of people. I coached thousands of people every week, every year. So I came into coaching, what's called coaching now. It's really called leadership. It's really leadership. I had 21 years of working with thousands of people, leading them, coaching them, and helping them. And so that's really my crash course on how do you scale? How do you go from your kitchen table, literally with $100, 3 little kids, and how do you take something national? How do you become leader in just a number of years? And I'll be honest, we had a lot of luck. We worked really hard. We had great people. We really were committed to our people being the best version of themselves. Like, their success was more important than anything. And all those things are timeless, right? They work in any business. And so when I speak to people about scaling now, I'm like, if you start me on that, I can go for a long time.
Right.
So I'm trying to make this really short, but yeah. So it was like getting an MBA or a doctorate or whatever, but in the real world, like, we bootstrapped the whole thing. We never borrowed or got, sold equity. Like, we found a way every step of the way as we scaled. And, we were the first company ever. We created a voice application for our product. It had never been done before in the world. And we got the actuaries to approve it. And we actually, which doesn't sound like anything today, but back in that time frame, that was like cutting edge. And we pieced together the technology. And I'm not a tech guy. I'm dyslexic. I don't even read and write, but I could see it in my mind how these pieces would fit together. And then we convinced them. Then it became this industry phenomenon, like Take a Voice app. Anyway, you're getting me all Mandy. She's getting me all excited about all.
You're all a flux. You're all a flux.
Yeah.
What about your dyslexia? Because I did not know that until I did research on you over the weekend. I did not know you have dyslexia. When were you diagnosed, and how does that show up for you in your world, in your grown-up world?
Okay, I promise not to cry first. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, because this now you said you were gonna go deep. I should know you well enough, Mandy, that you're like, so I grew up in a very rural town in Southern Oregon. So very rural, 10,000 people, a logging town. And from all recollections from my mother, which is 91, she just had her birthday. I was like the happiest kid around. So I was super excited to go to first grade. We walked to school back then, and it was down the road, and we went to school. And I showed up in school. I was there a couple of months, and I even within myself, I realized that I wasn't learning like the other kids, or reading, or wasn't picking up. But there in that small town, the teachers actually came to your house, met your parents at the beginning of the school year and the end. So the teacher showed up, said to my mom and dad, he needs to try harder. And my dad was a very serious man. And he goes, "You're going to work harder." And I was like, "Yes, I will. Yes, sir."
Yes, sir.
And I
Yeah.
went back. I read. It got worse. Right after the holidays, my teacher, I came in on a Monday morning. I still remember this. The school is still there. She took my desk. She stuck it in the corner in the back and said, "You're a dunce. You'll never be anything in life, and you're wasting my time."
Oh my God.
And I believed her because I was raised to respect teachers and older people and people like policemen, and I thought, well, I'm never going to be anything. And but to my mom and dad, he had to do first grade again because he's stupid and he's not getting it. So I became really suicidal at 7 years of age. Tried to kill myself, ran away from home. Just really had a rough, year or two there. And my mom, which is just a saint, she was at this meeting about the school, and a lady had moved with her husband to our small town. He was taking a job there, and she was from New York City, and she had just graduated from NYU, the first class ever to learn to teach kids that have dyslexia how to read and write. So she moved with her husband from New York City to Roseburg, Oregon, which is 10,000 people, so her husband could take his job. And she was looking for something to do. He she tutor for the next 6 years, except for and worked with to teach me how to read and write at a very basic level so that I could get through school. It was never going to be easy, but so I could, pass through school. And what that taught me, Mandy, so here's the thing, what that taught me is to see the person, to see you, Mandy, as your best version, because I know so deeply what it feels like when somebody only sees the worst in me.
Mm.
And my Mrs. Matthews, my first grade teacher twice, she saw the worst in me. She never was stupid, and I was not going to ever be anything. So I am, for all my days, I am compelled to encourage people to see the best in them. Even if they can't, I will always hold that for them. And my work, I tell my clients all the time, and I've told you this, I believe in them so deeply because I know the greatness that's in them. And it's so compelling to me. I mean, it was like yesterday that happened, and I'm 64. So like it wasn't yesterday, but it feels like it. So when
Yeah.
I get somebody and I get to work with them and I get to pour into them and I get to believe in them, it's not something I was trained in or have a degree in or no, this is, I know how important that can be for people. I know that can change their life, their world, their business, everything. And so I don't want to make this a thing about that.
That's it's just a good lesson on how adults speak to kids in a good or a bad way, how we speak to ourselves, those things we carry with us. Like, you remember this, but how many things did happen a long time ago that we don't remember, but we still carry that scar. We still carry that trigger. We carry that trauma, and it shows up for us in very adult ways, even though it was just like some bad teacher when you were 7. You know what I mean? I think it's powerful. I'm grateful that you shared that. I didn't know that about you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. So actually, we have a little time, and it's going to be very fortunate for our listeners, our viewers, and Mandy and myself, where maybe we can let you ask both Mandy and myself 2 questions. Anything that you want to ask us, we'll rotate around since you specialize in asking deep and thoughtful questions. And who do you want to start with?
Amani, I'll start with you because poor Mandy, she's had a lot of my questions. Give her a break.
I love your questions.
She's had it. Yeah. So I mean, what are you most afraid of?
What am I most afraid of? I think Mandy's heard this before. One of my fears, I guess, would be growing alone. That would be one of the top fears.
Mm, mm, mm. And what
It's never
What
one
do you-
question, Monty.
what are you believing about that is good?
That is good. So what am I believing about that is positive, is what you're asking? Mm, that is positive. Well, I've kind of worked my way through that where it's much less of a fear than it used to be. And then, as long as you surround yourself with good people consistently, that won't end up being true. So it's really like like part of a limited mindset, I would say. And so I'm just working my way through that to diminish that even more. So that's what I would say is good from that.
And what could you do in the next 5 minutes that would be a baby step of courage, not confidence, but a baby step of courage to move towards what you want in that situation?
Hmm. In the next 5 minutes,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm thinking.
ask those
I don't know.
girls out. Ask
Let
those
me
girls
think.
out I sent to you, Amani.
How do you know I have it? How do you know I have it? There you go. Okay, yes, that's let me come back on that one, but that would be man. Okay.
Now, Amani, I'm gonna take you off the hot seat. I'm gonna take you off the hot seat, and we're gonna go
Okay.
to Mandy. Okay. Okay. So she's sitting down because
All right.
she's already done this before. So Mandy, the book, we've talked about this. So the book that you've written, which is a great book, and I believe you've got a second one in the process in your mind, or it's you know
percolating.
percolating. Yeah. Is that the book you're afraid to write?
No.
What's the book that Mandy's afraid to write?
God damn it, Scott. Like there
Amani, thank you. You're here. You give me a high five.
I mean, there is a book
Hey,
I'm afraid to write.
Mandy, you were the one that asked me about dyslexia.
Okay. Fair is fair. Fair is fair, just like the Legend of Billie Jean.
Yeah.
There is a book I'm afraid to write, and I'm not going to talk about it, but it is something that I think over the years I get more and more I get more and more courageous about thinking about writing about it. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, there is one. That's funny because you and I have never talked about that before. But there is one that I default to in my head, like, what if I just wrote about this? And I will write that. Before I die, I will write the book. I will write the scariest book I never thought I'd write. I will write it. I'm not there yet, but I will write it.
Mm, okay. Shout out
What?
to Jessica
Oh,
Martini in the audience. So thank you. We see you here. Go ahead. Go ahead, Scott.
Hi, Jessica.
so, Mandy, what has to be true for that fear to come down that you can actually talk about it?
I think a couple of things. I think I've got to clear the decks with these other couple books that I really want to write, because those are kind of forming some cobwebs on the front that I just got to
Mhm,
get those off my plate because I'll feel better if I get over those. Not over
mhm,
those, but I get those out. Um,
mm,
and I think I have to come to terms
mm,
more with accepting some of those things that I want to write about. I don't know if I've
mm,
healed from those things or I've accepted those things uh, to be able to write about those yet
mm.
publicly.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
Mhm.
Do we have time
So
for one more? Or are we done?
Well, you're
we
the
have time
guest.
for one
You're
more.
the guest. You tell us what to do,
We have
Scott.
time for one more. Yes. Yes.
So here's the question for both of you, and you can both answer it. So how do you know, what are the indicators that your life is quote unquote successful for you?
Mm.
Mm.
Amani, you go
So
first.
I would say the indicator would be just how many different people and lives you have had an impact on in a positive way.
Mm, I love that. All right, Mandy.
I think it's just a measure of peace.
Mm,
How at peace do you feel? How at peace do you make people feel? How how are you cultivating peace? Like to me, it's just about peace, calming, grounding situations. What are you doing to create that? What are you doing to create that within yourself, within your community, within your work environment, within your family, friends? You
mm,
know, peace,
mm, mm.
peace of mind, peace.
So I'll give you both some homework. Mandy's used to this, so I'll give you one homework.
We've never had a
Okay.
guest give us homework before, have we,
Okay.
Amani?
Okay. So I want you both to write a list of things that I'm successful when, and you're going to make a list when this is true or that's true. You've done this, or you've been here, or whatever. But you're gonna make a list that's your list, not your friends, your family, your coworkers, your business partners, whatever. Not that, your list. I'm successful when these things are true in my business and my life, right? And you have to have at least 10. So it can't be just one thing with a dollar amount, because I got one of those the other day and I go, that's not it. So okay, so that's our homework. And if you're in the audience, you can do that homework and send it to me. I'd be glad to talk to you about that list, because what that list does is it gives us the indicators or the guardrails of all these other stuff that we've been talking about, being true to yourself, be your best version, that all helps to design that. So this is how we design a business and a life that at the end of the day, you put your head on your pillow and you go, that was what I was made to be and to do. And I want to do that again tomorrow. Like that feeling, right? But you don't know if you don't know what that I'm successful when is in front of you on your mirror and you can look at it.
I love that. Amani, we could actually use our answers for a future mini episode. So we
There you
could
Yeah.
go.
do our homework, and then in a couple weeks when we record our mini episodes, we've been releasing mini episodes with just Amani and I on Wednesdays. So
Yeah.
we can make our answers be our mini episode. What do you think about that? Building in
I love
public.
it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
Right.
I
I
like
love
it.
it. Yeah. I love the
So
accountability of that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be
That's good.
good. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So Scott, my final question to you, and it's
Oh
going to be
boy.
very interesting to see how you answer this based on
Okay.
kind of your life. But if
Uh-huh.
we were going to go back to talk to 21-year-old Scott and give
Oh.
him advice
Uh-huh.
based on everything you've learned so far, what advice would you give your younger self?
Hmm. Quit believing the lie about how you to be and the limitation that is all included in that.
Mm,
That's good. Authority does give limitations sometimes, but yeah. And they don't know it. Sometimes people don't know what limits they're giving people. That's good. It's good. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. At 21, that would be what I would want my 21-year-old self to know.
good
Because
to
at that
know.
time, I had flunked out of 3 colleges already.
Mhm.
So, and everybody kept saying, you need to go to college and get a degree. You need to go to college and get a degree. You need to go to college and get a degree.
Okay.
Now what are they saying?
Yeah. Mhm.
Now they want me to ask
Yeah.
them questions. That's what they're saying.
They want you to give their commencement
Yeah.
speech to teach their students and all that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Well, Mandy, you can take us on with our final questions.
I don't know if I've had questions, but I was writing down Scott quotes. So I just want to share some Scott quotes that, like, if you're just coming into this session and you're just listening, or if you've forgotten, I just want to share because I think these are really compelling takeaways for me. And I want to reshare these with the audience. So, courage is the hill that leads to confidence. Thought that was awesome. The ticket that you pay to what you want is the discomfort of others sometimes. That was great. And then procrastination is fear unnamed. So I just want to
Mhm.
thank you for being here and thank you for challenging us. And thank you for having an accidental coaching session. And thank you for sharing your story. And when somebody told you when you were 7 years old that you were a dunce. I'm so thankful that you kept going, and I'm so thankful that you connected with that woman from NYU. So just thank you for being here, and thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you, guys. This was awesome. And you guys are amazing, both of you.
How can we keep in touch
Thank
with you if somebody wants to connect with you about their personal life adventures and get some coaching or just be better
Yeah.
humans? How can people connect with you?
Confidencecoach.org is our website. And then I think you have my LinkedIn information. Either
Yeah.
place is fine. And yeah. That. And thank you guys. This was a blast for me. I love this. I love the spontaneity, and you guys are 2 amazing people. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. We're going to put you back in the green room now. Thank you again. And awesome. So another great episode, challenging episode. We got homework, Mandy. We got homework. So
We got homework money. It was funny. I felt I was on guard there. Felt good about nervous. I was nervous. Were you nervous at all?
maybe a little bit, but that's good. Nervous is good. So maybe a little bit. Yes, yes, a little bit.
Nervous is good. And
Um, who do we
your
have to look
internet in the
forward to
hotel
next
went
week?
okay. Oh, next week we have
Well, we'll see about the internet because I noticed a couple little shifts here, but I think it was okay, relatively speaking. So we'll see. I'm going to think positive.
okay, good. Well, so next week we have the very talented, very creative Erica Brunke, who is very well known in the events industry. She's worked for Apple and Google, and now she has her own business. She's does very high touch, high end executive events and meetings. And we're really honored to have her on the show. I'm very excited. Erica Brunke next week, February 5th.
Awesome. Well, make sure while you're watching to subscribe on the platform you're watching. Also, give us a rating or review, share it with a friend. And don't forget to tune in on Wednesdays when we have the recordings of our minis that are launched. And then we will see everyone next Monday, 4 p.m. on the East Coast, 1 p.m. on the West. And take care and have a great week, everyone.
See you
Bye.
next week. Thank you. Bye.